Alright, welcome to part 2 of this video, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my lathe to remove the shaft from the second piece. Let's get to it. Safety glasses on, safety squints engaged. Got a little bit of porosity here and where the weld was. Anyway, I'm going to take it out now and it should come apart. Alright, let's tap on this and see if it comes out. I hope so. Oh yeah, it moved. It's a little snug, but you can see the ring around it there. It's moving. There we go. This is the old piece that broke off. This is the piece that I cut off. And so we need a shaft, something like this, that fits perfectly in here. It's 1.5 inches. And then the other side needs to fit perfectly in here. And then we will have a shaft on either end like this, and then we need to bolt it onto the cutter head, and then we need to weld it together. So if we take the calipers and check out the diameter, we have 1.618, 1.6, 1.574, and 1.443. It kind of tapers down here. So basically I can use this section as the center section and turn that to 1.5, and then this end will be turned to 1 inch, and this end will be turned to 1 inch. So it turns out this shaft is hardened, and I don't want to ruin my bandsaw blade, but I still want to try to use this axle because it's very unlikely that I'll be able to use this for any other project. I'm going to use an abrasive cutoff wheel. I'm going to use a cutoff disc on my grinder to cut this off, and then we're going to try to mount it in the lathe and see if my lathe will cut it with a carbide bit. If I can't cut it in my lathe, then it's no good to me and it will basically be recycled. That's good news, it's cutting. So now I need to, I guess, get a steady rest mounted up. It's going to take a lot of time. There's going to be a lot of footage that is sped up here because I'm going to have to turn down a huge chunk of this down to 1 inch, and we are starting at 1.5. Definitely making a lot of heat, but it's cutting. The finish is quite nice, but the chip is coming off almost red hot and turning blue. I'll let you guys watch from this side now. I'll do one more 10,000ths cut. it's the smart thing to do, but I've decided to take the material out of the lathe and spin it around. My thinking is that the larger surface will make for a better bearing area. Okay, tighten this up. Okay, let's see here. We are at 1.297. So before I get this down too far, I want to turn this to diameter, or close to diameter, so that I don't get a bunch of chatter when I'm trying to do this. Because if this is an inch thick here, and I'm trying to turn this, yeah, I very well could get a bunch of chatter on this. So okay, I'm going to take a measurement here to see what the diameter actually is. .55. So let's see, do we have a steady cut all the way around? Yes, we do. So I can go at this depth, probably just a little deeper, and cut all the way across without any issue. Okay, so now I'm going to let it cool down a little bit, because as you can see, it is warm. I'm amazed at how well this lathe is cutting, considering I'm using a steady rest. So what I'm going to do, I got to take off 53 thousandths to get to an inch. Alright guys, fingers crossed. Let's see what the dimension is. Holy ol' snap. It doesn't get much better than that. So I've got this side turned down, but I've got a bigger nub in here, and this won't fit through the spindle in my lathe. So I'm going to have to take it out of the lathe, cut the end off, and then put it in far enough so that I can finish turning this shoulder. In order to make it stronger than the factory one, I want to make a nice rounded shoulder here. So what I'm going to try doing, something a little bit unconventional, I'm going to try using my milling cutter to get in there and cut a radius. And how I'm going to do that is by using my boring holder, or my boring bar holder. So we've got that, and that will fit in, and I should be able to get in there and round that shoulder. It's going to be a very good workout for my mill. It might just tell me that it doesn't like doing it, and I might have to come up with something else. But that's the idea as of now. I've cut the end off here with a grinder, and basically taken a few measurements, and what we've got to do now is set it in the chuck like this. Then we're going to move the steady rest into here and trim up this end. I've got this turned to about 65 thousandths over 1 inch. The problem that I'm running into is I've got to have the steady rest in this far in order for my carriage to come over. You can see that it's as far as I can come over. And I'm getting a little bit of chatter. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I've got 65 thousandths to figure out how to make it not chatter so I can get a good finish. I think what I'm going to do to start with is slow down the feed rate and probably switch out the cutter for a different cutter. That's not going to work for me, is it? I'm only going to be able to cut from here. Maybe we'll have to cut the end off before we go any further. I've got the end cut off the shaft, and as you can see, quite a bit of heat went into it. I got to mount it back up in the lathe and turn this down to 1 inch. We've got it set up, and it's running within about 3 thousandths, which is great. I've got the steady rest moved back far enough so that I can do my full cut. So far, so good. And one of the ways I'm going to make this shaft a little bit stronger is by rounding the shoulder. So what I have here is an end mill, and I'm going to use that to cut a radius in the corner so that it doesn't have a tendency to break, because that's where it broke the last time. There's a lot of pressure and it's not really set up for doing this, but I'm going to try doing it anyway. I would like to completely get rid of this shoulder. So I'm gradually working my way up to it. Give you guys a closer look at it. I'm going to set this in here and see if it actually lines up with everything. So where can I put you guys? You can sit over here. And what's going on here? The bearing's crooked. Alright, so we've got that bearing there. Alright. It doesn't get much better than that. Awesome.